I hope everyone's doing well. Of course, this is a late reaction to the Clemson-Syracuse game. I was actually meaning to get this done on Monday, and I tried my very best to pre-record them and so on because it actually looks better. But if you're brand new here, first of all, I'm Brian Knight, not Bobby Durkins, because I'm not Bobby Durkins here. If you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications. I do appreciate it. And hey, it's free. It doesn't cost you a dime. So I do appreciate everyone who is jumping on this. Once again, apologies for the late reaction, but I could not let this game go by because let's just jump into it. Clemson barely wins the game 27-21. There were extremely questionable moments in this game. And then there's certain things that if you step away from the game and you look at it another way, there's some really encouraging things about the Clemson-Syracuse game. So, as I said, the final score was 27-21. DJ had his worst game of the season. And that is really where the sky has been falling for some people. Now, let's be honest with ourselves. If you ask a lot of Clemson fans if the sky is falling, they'll quickly, like a good politician would quickly say, oh, no, you're reading it wrong. But up until you ask them that question, they believe the sky is falling. They believe that the team has went off the beaten path. DJ needs to be immediately replaced. And what exactly is going on with our team? DJ did play his worst game of the season. He had 3 turnovers. One was returned for a 90-yard touchdown. We had 4 turnovers overall. Shipley lost his first fumble of his college career. And we saw DJ look like he did last year. That is what scared a lot of people. Every person that I've talked to that has been absolutely floored with this particular game, that's really what it comes down to when you listen to them talk, when you hear other people analyze this whole situation. Hey, he looked like he did last year, and that's what's scary because we remember last year. This right now we're 8-0. We're 8-0. This time last year we'd already lost 3 ball games right off the top of my head, and the truth is, it could be way worse. It could be way worse. Syracuse came in and played their butts off. Dino Babers always brings a really good game plan for Clemson. Also, do consider that Clemson is number 5. They're the top dog in the ACC. They've been one of the top teams over the past, 7-8 years. So when teams play them, that's kind of like their game to show that they can run with the big boys. I don't care who they're playing. I said up to this point, between Syracuse and Wake Forest, one other team played Clemson very well, and it was Furman, little old FCS school from Travelers Rest, South Carolina. Why do you see this happen? It's because when you're playing a team that has been basically running things, and they've been a forerunner in college football, and they're there with Alabama. Georgia won the national championship last year, but Georgia just now is getting into that picture, and you see Ohio State teetering back and forth. They haven't won a national championship since, 2014, somewhere in there. But the point here is that Clemson's going to get the very best out of every team that's going to come play them. And so Syracuse, they had injuries. They had some legitimate injuries since the beginning of the season, and I laid that out in the video a couple of weeks ago or last week. But we do need to take that in consideration. DJ had a bad game. You have a backup quarterback for a reason, and at a school like Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, you recruit really well knowing that injury could take place, someone could have a poor game, and fill in the blank with anything else that could go on. And the truth is that you need that backup quarterback. Look at the 49ers. And you know me, I'm really not an NFL fan. But look at the 49ers. They were ready to cut Garoppolo, and then their main guy gets hurt, and they re-sign him. Why? Just in case. Yeah, Jimmy G, you're right, Christopher. And by the way, hello, Will and Christopher and anyone else who's joining on here. I see people who are joining. Feel free to leave a note in the chat and hit the thumbs up, and tell anyone else who loves college football, especially Clemson football, to join in or at least watch this later and subscribe. But you have that. Cade Klubnik came in and did what he was supposed to do. Chris, good Lord. Y'all, I need more coffee. Chase Bryce came in and did what he was supposed to do against, oddly enough, Syracuse, when Trevor was the quarterback. So, folks, you need to understand something. You need to understand something. You need to take this to the bank. We cannot believe that the season is falling apart just because DJ had one bad game. He threw 2 interceptions. They did not look good. He fumbled on the mesh play, ran back for a touchdown. Okay, so I spent a lot of time on DJ because that's the big question mark. Okay, what is going on? What went on with him? What should we replace him with? Cade? Short answer: no. Now they have an off week. It's a bye week, and it's great because they take off a week. They're 8-0. Then they go up to South Bend. They're going to play a Notre Dame team who I think is going to be very excited to play them. Notre Dame's season has far from turned out what they wanted it to be. They've been hampered by injuries, terrible losses. You can track the ticket prices on this game. As you know, at the beginning of the season, I mean, a nosebleed section ticket was $300 or $400, and now you could probably buy them. I'd have to check them. I hadn't checked them today, but I mean, you're probably looking about a $200 ticket for a bad seat at Notre Dame. And Notre Dame is Notre Dame, whether you love them or hate them. I mean, it's still a historic place. So I know people who have spent a lot of money to go to that game, and they really didn't have to. But off of that, onto the game, I think that Notre Dame's going to play them very well. And then, of course, you've got Louisville, and then you've got Miami, and then you've got South Carolina. And that South Carolina game is becoming now the most difficult game left on the schedule because Beamer's a good coach. I mean, if you pay attention to Dabo has a lot of respect for him. And Beamer's post-game, he was on the field for the Texas A&M game. Beamer was Dabo-esque. And I know some Clemson fans are losing their mind right now. I did not say he's Dabo Swinney at South Carolina. What I'm saying is he had that excitement, he had that relatability, and he had that desire to win. And so we need to be very mindful of the Gamecocks, them bringing their best game to the table, even though it's in Death Valley. So let's just go ahead and stop there and say we do not need to replace DJ. DJ needs to definitely work on whatever happened that made him play poorly, and then go from there. Have a few people jumping in here. Christopher Lane, Will Jones, Slim Shady Canes, the legend. Yes, May there, not Mr. Durkins. Yeah, I won't tell Bobby that you're here. If Bobby finds out that you're here, well, you know him. He's gonna get hurt. He's gonna get hurt. Will Jones says Kay didn't do anything to win the job. His stats were not very good. He just took care of the ball. That's yes, and they don't have film on it. That's one thing that you have to realize when it comes to a second string quarterbacks. Most of the time, your defense doesn't have film on them. Most of the time, they're not preparing for them. So that's a very good point. Also, there's no reason to take the job for him. I think that would set a terrible precedence, not only for the quarterback position, but anyone who's coming into the program or anybody who's currently in the program. That would be a great way to split the locker room. That would be a great way to create an unease, and that's it. Let's talk about the defense. In the first half, the defense actually gave up only 14 points. They gave up 14 points. Of course, Syracuse defense scored, ran the ball back. So the defense gave up 14 points. The defense was on the field a lot. The defense, they were taking some really good punches from Schrader. And Schrader came in and played very well. Got Parker Henderson sneaking in here. What's up, man? Oh, Parker. I bet your awful sister Chase is working somewhere right now. He's probably diagnosing something. I love to call them the Henderson sisters. Okay, Bobby Durkins calls them the Henderson sisters, but I'm glad Chase and Parker got to hang out with them some this season, which has been fun. But going back to the game, I am not going to comment on your comment. I'm just going to leave that there. But in his profession, that is actually something that would happen. But yeah. So the defense gave up 14 points in the first half, and they were on the field a lot, as I was saying. There were moments that I was screaming at the TV, Schrader's going to pull the ball. For the 56th time, he's going to pull the ball. Please tackle him. I know it's like, well, what about that one time he hands off the ball? That one time didn't really come that much. After a while, it's just like, look, guys, we can either play what is versus what might happen. This guy is consistently pulling the ball. We need to really focus on that, and they did. They ended up, taking that away from the Clemson's defense. Did not give up 1 point in the second half. Unfortunately for us, our offense didn't give any points in the second half too, as far as turning over the ball and it leading to a touchdown or a fumble return for a touchdown like it was in the first half. So that's a bright spot. Another bright spot was to see Joseph Ngata come back and take over. Maybe not as dominant, maybe not something that we would step back and say, oh man, that was dominant. Like, wow, what a performance. But Ngata was really, really good last year. And you saw Bo Collins trending up. This year we expected Ngata to come in and do a good job, be very competitive for the ball. And I'm just going to tell you, after I get done with this live stream, I'm going right into another live stream. And if you have Clemson fans, this is not clickbait. This is something I actually had a phone call with someone who is very much an insider with the Tiger football team. And they're going to talk about what happened last season. They're not going to be on here. I've told them I would keep them totally anonymous out of respect to them giving me this information. But my sources are really good. My source is really, really good and tell you some of the stuff that's been going on in the locker room, especially on the offensive side of the ball. and really what it did the last season and how they've tried to combat it this season, you're seeing some better things. But if you have a Tiger, if you have a friend of yours who's a Tiger fan, or they just love to hate Clemson, you'll definitely want to tune in right after this one. And so I know that we're going about 15 minutes here, and I like to keep some of my videos shorter, but it was good seeing Ngata come out and do his thing. Right now, I have the stats over here. I mean, Shipley ran for 172 yards. He had 27 carries. Schrader ran the ball 21 times for 71 yards. When you look at their stats doesn't look like you're not looking at their stats going, wow, their stats were just so. I mean, Clemson had 450 total yards. Syracuse only had 291, 167 in there, 124 on the ground. It was those 4 turnovers that we had, and you just normally a team who has 4 turnovers loses the ball game, no matter how good they are. And in a game like this, it definitely helped Syracuse stay in the game. It gave them a touchdown. And we can play that if game all we want to. And we know if I was 6'3", ran a 4.3 40 and could bench press 500 pounds, I'd probably be in the NFL, but I'm not. So, but if you want to step back in a corrective angle and you're like, okay, let's talk about moving forward. If we don't do things, what would it, or if we hadn't done these things in this game, and if we don't do these things in the future game, what would it do? What would the impact been? Well, here you would have shaved off 7 points. So it would have been a 27-14 win. If Clemson wasn't turning over the ball, would the score have been higher? Would he have broke the will of Syracuse? Syracuse had the ball for 26 minutes. Clemson had the ball for 33 minutes. But in the first half especially, and I don't have the breakdown here, folks. So if you have that information, you want to send it over to me, I welcome it, because I want things to be right. But I'll guarantee you that the time of possession in the first half favored Syracuse, because Clemson just kept messing up. I mean, so you can correct those things. You can coach those things. You can sit down with DJ and say, hey, man, I have 7 games that you played, and out of the 7, you played extraordinary in a lot of those games. Forget this. I know that Cade majorly encouraged him. And you're right, Parker. Cade threw fantastic. He threw a couple of fantastic passes, especially the one on the 2-point conversion, which was very big. So he does have an arm. I'm not taking away from what Cade did. I'm not going to take away from what he did. But I'm saying taking the job away from DJ would be the dumbest move. Now, if DJ comes out there against Notre Dame and he's turning the ball over, it's like all of a sudden, what was that movie from years ago? Rookie of the Year, where the kid like falls down, hits his arm, and then all of a sudden major league teams wants him to play baseball for them. I think that was Rookie of the Year, showing how old I am. And then he gets into one of these games, once he gets into like the World Series or playoff or something, and he falls, hits his arm the same way, and then all of a sudden he can't throw the ball great anymore. Unless that's happened to DJ somewhere. There's no reason to pull him. I think he's going to go in and lead the team very, very well. And I look for our defense to continue to do an excellent job. I mean, they stayed on the field a lot. And then the adjustments. Here's the thing, too, adjustments. Wes Goodwin made the adjustments again. It sounds like a replay of me talking a couple of weeks ago about a few games. He makes adjustments in the second half. So what does that mean? He does not have a plan. He is consistently planning. What's the difference there? And I've said this on this particular show or channel, is that Eisenhower said plans are nothing, planning is everything. So what did he mean by that? There's so many coaches, they pull up their game plan, and especially if they've won, they say, I've won this way. I have won. This is a winning game plan. And then they begin to lose. And instead of going back to the plan and say, all right, we need to do some tweaking here because the goal is to win. The goal is not the game plan. The game plan is supposed to support the goal to win, but they become stubborn, arrogant, especially if they've had some championships. They're going to point at the ring on their finger and go, well, this plan got me this. Well, yeah, but in the past, it did. And at this moment, show that you're a good coach and that you're willing to make the proper adjustments to win this game. And so to see that he is consistently planning and he's consistently working. Listen, folks, Wes Goodwin is running the defense for the very first time. He is running the defense this is the first time he's been the main guy in the saddle. And I think he's doing, once again, I was yelling at the screen. Schrader's pulling the ball again. I know what they were trying to set up. I know what they had to respect. I'm not an idiot. I know what they were trying to prevent. But there comes a time when a guy consistently pulls the ball that you either can allow him to continue to run down the field on you, or you can knock his head off. And it's just annoying. It's good to see they made that adjustment. And so I believe that because of that, we have a great chance of finishing the season undefeated. Now, my closing thought here is I do, as a Clemson fan, feel the nervousness even in myself about the rest of the season, because last week at this time, I felt more comfortable about our team. I felt like that we would play Syracuse in a way that would be very very aggressive. I did not expect 4 turnovers. I didn't expect a guy who had thrown 2 interceptions all year, one of them being a tipped ball. So, you really don't, you have to count it, but if you're grading him, you wouldn't count it. I didn't expect him to come in and throw 2 interceptions and fumble a mesh and it's returned for 90 yards for a touchdown. It just doesn't happen to anybody all the time, much less a guy who's been taking care of the ball. I do feel that sense of urgency. I do feel that sense of nervousness. And I do feel that sense of, I hope that nothing's going to fall apart. But folks, one ball game that he did not play as well as he could have. And then if we go back and we look at the receivers, what were their routes like? And on this next video, I'm going to talk about the receiving corps, and I'm going to talk about some things that literally I had a phone call 2 days ago with someone who is on the inside at Clemson. And I'll just put it this way. They know the team very, very well. And yeah. So I want you to check out that video. So Clemson, what do we need to do? Obviously, correct mistakes. It shows you the importance of taking care of the football. It shows you the importance of come out ready for every game. But it also shows you the importance of being patient with people. DJ has been the leader of the team, and I felt pretty good about him. And I've talked about that. We need to keep this guy playing. This guy does not deserve to lose the job. If we're smart, we'll get him comfortable in a good way. And we need to chill out on that. I'm just telling you, as someone who's watched just sports in general, calling for his job right now is not a good move, because let's just say Cade goes in there and Cade's not playing well. Well, who do we pull him for? Well, we put DJ in after you've ejected. None of that makes sense. Now, if DJ goes out once again to Notre Dame and plays terrible, we have a bridge to cross. And it being 8-0 at this point and looking like he's getting better, something has to be going on mentally or physically that we're not being told about. But I think we need to chill out on him and chalk it up to a bad game. And until a game turns into games, we need to chill out on him. And SEC Dog says Clemson punter is the best passer on the team. I tell you, I can always count on you to give me some great insight. You're always bringing it. Slim Shady Kane says 8 turnovers will lose you a game too. Very astute of you, my friend. Very astute. So Clemson, keep doing what you're doing on defense. Continue to make those adjustments. Learn from what you did. Realize that Syracuse and teams just across the board, especially teams like them that has something to prove, they're going to bring their A game. Notre Dame is going to bring their A game. Louisville is going to bring their A game. I don't know if Cunningham, Malik, I want to say it's Cunningham, right? I need more coffee or more water. I don't know. These teams are going to bring their best game. They're going to bring their best game. Miami, South Carolina, they're going to bring why? Clemson is a brand to beat. They're one of the few brands in the country out of all the football teams. You're going to get their best. And, hey, it's just that's why upsets happen. Some people come in and play the very best game, and then the very next week, the team that just beat you goes and loses to some, mediocre subpar team. Why? Because they expended themselves mentally, emotionally, all the way down to their coaching has been expended, and there's nothing more to bring to the table. They're emotionally hungover because they spent out so much in that one game, the game of a lifetime. And for Clemson, it's just another game, and you have to get out of that mindset that it's just another game, knowing that people are coming for you and going to bring their best. So anyway, well, I'm going to do a video right after this one. We'll let this load up real quick. I'm going to start a video talking about some inside information that I got from someone on the inside. No, I'm not talking about someone who was cleaning the toilets at the locker room. I'm talking about someone who is much closer to that and has worked with 2 big names who are no longer at Clemson. And spoiler alert, they worked with the defensive and offensive coordinator. So yeah. If I am making you want to watch this next video, of course I'm doing it on purpose. Be sure to show up and just send it to your friends and family who just like to talk good college football. So I'm Brian Knight. Hit the subscribe button. I see 19 people in here, only 5 thumbs up. Make that count go up. It's free. If I was rummaging through your underwear drawer for money, okay, I get it. That, not only would that be weird, that would be, just weird, but hit that thumbs up. I'll be posting that video here in just a moment, or it'll be live, so it won't be a post, but I'm waiting for this video to upload. It has to go through the whole YouTube rigmarole and load up, and then we'll go from there. So thank you for joining me on Not Bobby Durkins. Also, be sure to check out Bobby Durkins as I will be having some, I'll be working with Bobby to get some videos up here in the next few days. Thanks for showing up, and go Tigers.